All right, guys, 7.3. Bonus about videos is that you can watch them over and over again if you need to. So when you see this type of problem, x plus 4 squared, you will just need to split it into two binomials and then use FOIL. So this is x plus 4 and x plus 4. Multiply those together. So there are different ways that you can use, like we've looked at before in 7.2. If you like to use the table, then you can set up the x and the 8 here and the x and the 8 here, and x squared, 8x, and then multiply kind of like an old school multiplication table. And then just you kind of look diagonal to see like terms. So there's an x squared, there are 16 x's, and there's a 64. Okay, if you don't want to use the box, and maybe if you don't have the box, you wouldn't bother to draw them, then you can do it like this and FOIL first. So first one times the first one outside. These two terms are on the outside, so minus 3x. Inside is minus 3x, and last is going to be plus 9. And then you combine like terms here in the middle. And then that's that. So however you choose to do it, sometimes there's not just an x up front, there's a 3x. So I'm just going to continue to kind of do these in a little bit in different ways. Sometimes I'm going to use the table, sometimes I'm going to use FOIL just to help you learn both. And then you can choose what works for you. And this is negative 12x, and that's a positive 16. And then again, your like terms are going to kind of go diagonally. So this is 9x squared minus 24x, and then plus 16 for a final answer. Sometimes you have variables at the back or for the second term of your binomial, two terms, and that's okay. It works the same way. So I'm going to FOIL this one. X plus 7y times x plus 7y. So x squared plus 7xy. When you have two variables, you put them in alphabetical order. Plus 7xy plus 49y squared. And then combine your two middle terms. I call those your OI because they came from your outside and your inside. So your OI is always going to be like terms. And you have that. Now, you might notice on all three or all four of these that we have, uh-oh. I think I got all that back. But notice that your outside and your inside were like terms and they were the same. Your outside and your inside were like terms and they're the same. So basically this middle term is always going to be like first times last, or the two middle ones multiplied together and doubled. I think that is a pattern some of you might use. I personally think writing it out and foiling works better for me than thinking through that as doubled in the middle. But if you can do that and see that pattern, then that is awesome. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do this one. I think we can just skip that one for now. And let's go over to this one. Okay, so, whoops. Having issues with my pen here. All right, so writing this out twice is foiling, or like I said, you should be noticing a pattern where you can just square the first term is how you get your first term. Your last term you can square, so negative 7y times negative 7y is 49y squared. And then your middle term, these two together are negative 35xy. These are also going to be negative 35xy, so that is negative 70xy. Okay, so this one is going to be x squared at the beginning, y squared. And like I said, I almost have to write them out twice to think through this. On the outside is negative xy, on the inside is negative xy, so that's negative 2xy. So What you should notice down here, it says, what do you notice about the first and last term? And they are the square of the first and last. And what do you notice about the term in the middle? And that's what I was just pointing out. It is outer and then doubled, or inner and doubled. Basically, your outer and your inner, your oi as I call it, are the same, so that's going to be doubled. And what do you notice about the last sign? It is always positive. Of course, if you are multiplying something by itself, that is always going to be positive. And the middle sign, notice here, this was a minus in between the binomial. This is a negative. This is a minus or negative. This is a negative. If we scroll up and look at some of the others, you'll find the same. So it is the same as in the binomial. This pattern may come in handy for us later when we're factoring, but for now, I really do think it's almost easier to write it out in FOIL or use your box and actually multiply it. All right, go ahead and flip. And we're just going to do a couple of these. All right, this first one is actually pretty complicated. We have this purple piece of stained glass shaped like a trapezoid. We're going to write the polynomial that represents the area. So first we have to know that the area of a trapezoid's formula is 1/2 times the height times the base 1 plus the base 2 added together. So we're going to fill all that in. So fill all this in. We've got 1/2. The height over here is this x minus 1. And then the base 1 plus the base 2 are going to be the top and the bottom. So this is a 3x minus 2. Oops, that's plus x. So first, order of operations. We've got several sets of parentheses going on, but the only one we can really do anything inside is over here. So I'm going to bring my 1/2 down, my x minus 1 down, and then 3x plus x is going to be 4x. And well, what do I have there? A 2? You guys, I think I'm crazy. That's a 6. So 3x minus 6 and then plus x. So that 3x and then x is a 4x and then a minus 6. So now we're multiplying, so we can multiply in any order we choose. I'm going to go ahead and do these two binomials and take this 1/2 last. So I'm going to use the FOIL method. X times 4x is 4x squared. This is all going to be multiplied by 1/2. Outside is negative 6x. Inside is negative 4x. And last is going to be a plus 6. Negative times negative. And then we can take a half of everything. So half of 4x squared is 2x squared. A negative 6x and a negative 4x together make negative 10x. Half of that is negative 5x. And then half of 6 is 3. So that's the area. And then to do this part, we would just take a 7 and plug it in for x. So that's the scoop on that one. Just remember order of operations to use it. Once you're multiplying, you can multiply in any order. So on these, the area of a rectangle is just going to be length times width. So I'm just going to set these up. I don't think we need to actually solve them. So once you have that, you would FOIL those together, combine like terms, all that good stuff. On this one, your area of a triangle, don't forget, also has a 1/2 and then base times height. So this would be 1/2 and then p plus 1, doesn't matter which order you write these down. And then what you would do, I would suggest, so that we don't have to deal with fractions, FOIL this first and then use the 1/2 after that. So those are pretty straightforward. This one gets a little more complicated, just doing the shaded region. I would suggest, kind of as they have, is that you find the area of the square, which is x plus 1 times x plus 1. It's the whole big blue shape. And then find the area of this rectangle inside, which is 5 times x minus 7. and then you're going to subtract. And like I said, I know you can do the work on these. I just wanted to help you know how to set these up when you're working on some potentially like this on your own. And then this one, last one, again, if you're just finding the shaded, like this shaded, you're going to find the full minus the non-shaded. So the rectangle part, and we know it's a rectangle because these are different, almost looks like a square. You would find that, multiply, FOIL that out. And then for the triangle is going to be actually that, but half of it. So whatever you would get for the rectangle, you would then take half of that. So that's fairly quick on that part, but I know that you can do it. So good job.